Oh my gosh. They did the thing. Yes, not much to pack. I tossed my warm clothes into a bag, and I was about to go out when an interesting thought crossed my mind. What would I actually need them for? It doesn't seem to be late summer, so what's the point in dragging unnecessary weight along? Especially since I don't know how far I have to walk. After reasoning that one could survive such weather without a coat and warm boots, I shoved my cell phone with its dying battery into my pocket and went to the square. I had to wait at least 20 minutes for Alyssa. My hangover seemed to ease a little so I could better focus on the previous night. What did she really mean to me? Was it just drunken sex or something more? Naturally, I can't speak for Alyssa. It's difficult even to speak for myself. I began to remember the course of my acquaintance with her, how she teased and mocked me at first, how her arrogance and self-confidence. It was more than compensated for by the tenderness of last night. It's already clear that she's not the person she wants to seem like. What kind of person is the real Alyssa? Do I have any feelings towards her? I do feel sympathy, sort of affection, but is there something more? My reflections were interrupted by Alyssa. Here, take it. She held out a huge backpack to me. What's this? I asked skeptically. My stuff. Why so little? I brought as much as I could fit. Look, we don't know how far we have to go. Maybe you can take only the most necessary things? So what? I'll just have to throw it away? Leave it here? Alyssa sniffed. Firstly, I couldn't understand why she even has that much stuff, and secondly, what's so valuable in there? But the chivalrous duty of carrying it is mine, isn't it? Of course, she smirked archly. I evaluated how much it would weigh. About 10 kilos, I guess. I can carry that for a few kilometers, but not much farther than that. You do understand that we'll not get very far with it. Well, we'll do our best. You mean I can throw something out later? We'll see, she answered with her eyes flashing slyly. Okay, I'm taking you at your word. After all, as I have to carry it, I have the right to throw things out of it. And so our journey began. It took me at least an hour to start getting tired. I would never have thought that I possessed such stamina. Either the backpack was easy to carry, or last night's exercises had trained my muscles. Wow. I stopped on the roadside and threw Alyssa's belongings to the ground. What are you doing? She was clearly resentful. Do you want to carry it yourself? Of course not. In that case, I need to rest. Naturally, the most rational decision was to get rid of most of the stuff, keeping only the most necessary things, but I couldn't bring myself to such drastic measures. You've been keeping silent for the whole time. Alyssa was staring vacantly down the road, then receded into the distance. What is there to talk about? Don't know. But you're behaving as if nothing happened. Did something happen? She asked absent-mindedly. Well, you know. Had enough rest? Then let's go. Alyssa began to quickly walk away from me. Hey, wait a minute. I shouldered the backpack and ran after her. We've been traveling in silence for some time, with Alyssa slightly ahead and me behind. I had no idea how to start a conversation. She seems to be giving out obvious hints that the night's events were one big mistake. At least, it seems so to me. Though from my point of view, what happened was meant to happen. For the last few days in the camp, I've definitely been attracted to Alyssa. And I believe she was attracted to me as well. In that case, what's the problem? Maybe she doesn't want it to be just a one-night stand. You know, she turned and looked at me. If I did something wrong, you did nothing wrong. But it just turned out this way. So it was just an accident. I didn't say that. Then what did you say? My inability to get a straight answer made me begin to lose my temper, and I raised my voice. You're just giving me hints, ambiguities. What about straightforwardness, sincerity? You weren't like this before. People tend to change. She slowly paced forward. Change? You call this a change? You are a completely different person now, just like Glenna, really. Alyssa stopped but didn't turn. Don't compare. Got it? You don't compare me with her. She spoke quietly, but there was rage in her voice. What? I was somewhat taken back. You blame me for everything, but what about yourself? You're constantly looking at her, even now you managed to see her in me. Wait, what's... Why did you come yesterday then? You could have gone to her. You did know... Did know what? Did know that I was waiting for you. It seems that making this confession was a hard decision for Alyssa, but at first I assigned little significance to her words. Well, you yourself told me to come yesterday, so This isn't about that! Alyssa burst into sobs and covered her face with her hands. I was completely taken back. I still didn't get what she's hinting at, so it was impossible to talk normally. Sorry. Forgive me. Stop apologizing! But if I said or did something wrong, so what's the point in apologizing if you already did? Better behave yourself from the beginning. But I don't know how. Alyssa looked up at me. There was so much sorrow in her gaze that I couldn't bear it and turned away. We stood like this for some time. Soon she seemed to pull herself back together. Okay, forget it. Let's move on. Naturally, I couldn't forget it, even if I wanted to. But I had nothing to say anyway, so I followed her in silence. The sun was slowly moving below the horizon. I was immersed in thoughts and even forgot about that heavy backpack on my back. I had to say something. Do something. Alyssa's expecting me to. At least a few words. What should I begin with? I've gotten used to everything in my life being quite simple. Any task seemed to be already finished after only a few steps. Instead of considering the long way to my goal, I immediately started to think about the results, enjoying an unachieved victory. Moreover, I doubt I'd have to face a situation like this in the real world. Obviously, for a long time I dreamed about a person who could care about me. But right now, such a person is in front of me, and yet I feel nothing. And I can't tell Alyssa either yes or no, just because I don't know what will happen next. Meanwhile, it got dark. I guess we should make camp for the night. There's not much left to go. You sure? And even if that's so, it's better to travel during the daytime. You know best, she answered coldly. We stopped at the edge of a wood. Got anything useful in there? I pointed at the backpack. Have a look. Mainly footwear and clothes were here, but at the bottom I found a magazine and a box of matches. Quite enough to light a fire. Soon, we were sitting on a fallen tree and warming our hands by the fire. Only now did I finally realize that I'd finally gotten out of that damn camp. I'd found no answers. On the contrary, everything had become even more tangled, as I guess I am to spend the rest of my life in this reality. If I don't take into consideration all the sci-fi stuff, it's clear that I'm somewhere in the South at the end of the 80s. How, and more importantly, why I was brought here is not so important now, as I have to somehow adapt. And I ought to begin with the girl sitting by my side. So what will we do when we reach the district center? Call our parents, what else? Alyssa smiled slightly. She had someone to call. And then? And then it's all over. Meaning? Well, we'll leave for our homes. I wasn't really surprised by this answer. I just hadn't thought about what would happen after the term ended. And that's it. What else is there? I don't know. After all that happened. But nothing happened at all, she told me merrily. What do you mean nothing happened? You'll have a chance to find Lena. I was surprised, but Alyssa said it absolutely kindly. As if I needed Lena. Don't you? To be honest, Lena was the last person I was thinking about now. No! Then maybe it's me? I looked at Alyssa attentively. She grinned spitefully. She was weeping just recently. What about you? I evaded the question. What do you think about me? I don't know. Maybe you can just say it straight out? A long silence fell. Alyssa is waiting for a straight answer. But I can't sort it out for myself. This pioneer camp. Now the girl who wants to hear something. I can't say that easily. You see, and then I really understood. Understood that now it's no use trying to be cunning and holding things back. I almost managed to break out of the cage. The worst is over. Or on the contrary, the worst is yet to come, but it's time to speak plainly. You see, what you're expecting of me is almost impossible. Looks like everything is impossible for you, she sniffed. It's weird to say it, but it's true. I don't know what will happen to me. Not even necessarily tomorrow, but in the next second. And what might it be? Will you vanish into thin air? Quite possibly. She burst into peals of laughter. You know, I was ready for any excuses, but not one like that. These aren't excuses, just listen. Alyssa gazed at me attentively, and, it seemed, had no intention of interrupting. You see, I don't belong in this place. I'm not talking about the camp, but about the whole world. All of you here are completely strange, incomprehensible people to me. As you are for us, actually. I'm not even sure if you are from my planet or my reality. Quit it now, Alyssa said tiredly. Imagine once you fell asleep and woke up in a completely different place. Not just place, but a different time as well. That's what has happened to me. I used to live in the early 21st century in a city far away from here. I was somewhat older than I look now. I had my own life, regardless of whether it was good or bad. It was my own. And then one night, I took a bus, fell asleep, and woke up here. As a 17-year-old pioneer. Alyssa looked at me in surprise. And you expect me to believe you? I don't know. It's up to you. It really wasn't easy for me to tell you that. You're a master storyteller, really. Just a sec. I rummaged through my pockets and showed her my phone. To my great surprise, there was still some battery, and the screen was glowing brightly. Have you ever seen something like this? Do you have something like it? I held it out to Alyssa. She fidgeted with it, pressing buttons. Well, some kind of imported foreign toy. So what? It's not a toy. It's a telephone. And where are the wires? Where's the headset? She laughed. There's no need for them. Fortunately, I can't demonstrate to you how it works because they're still not invented in your time. Yeah, sure, she said skeptically and handed me my phone back. Anyway, it's your decision whether to believe me or not. I told you all this only to explain what position I'm in now. I still don't know what would happen to me in an hour. So, such decisions... Fine, you don't have to say anymore. And you don't have to make any decisions. She got up and pushed some more firewood onto the fire. If I've offended you... everything's fine, she said coldly. I understand. You're a visitor from the future, so normal girls like me don't interest you. You got me wrong. No, I didn't. It's a very credible, logical, and above all, truthful tale. Any girl would dig it. So you still think that I'm making up excuses? Alyssa stayed silent. Or that I've gone completely mad? One could expect anything from you. Why do you have to be like this? I said sadly. What about me? I've done nothing wrong, she grinned spitefully. Just imagine that it's all true and understand why I behave so. I already imagined, understood. What? I was about to say something else, but a horn sounded from the road. There was a bus on the roadside. Liège on a regular route. It's odd that we hadn't noticed its approach. At last! Salvation! Shall we go? Alyssa asked in completely bland, emotionless voice. Yeah, sure. I grabbed the backpack. I can manage it myself. She took it from me. It's obvious it was too heavy for her, but I didn't object. Soon, we sat peacefully on the back of the bus. Various feelings fought inside me. On one hand, I was glad beyond measure to get to the civilized world. On the other hand, I was guilt-stricken by the unfinished conversation with Alyssa. Sorry that I acted so. You expected something different. I expected nothing of you, she replied coldly. I just wanted you to understand. And concerning our relationship, I like you, really. Glad to hear that. But her voice didn't sound so glad. I said it honestly. You see, I don't know what will happen next, but here and now, I guess last night you liked me even more. No, you misunderstood. Shall we do it again while the driver can't see us? Calm down for a second, okay? I didn't even think about it. What's the matter? You want it, and I don't care. It's the only thing I'm good for. Alyssa, wait. Okay. I want to sleep. She reclined on her seat and closed her eyes. Oh, honey. Wait a sec. I'm sleeping. Let's talk later. I didn't object. After all, it's good to seek counsel from your pillow. Besides, Alyssa needs some time to calm down. Though, of course, I was desperate to explain everything to her in a way she'd understand. But I held back. Still, I was sick at heart. We were alone on the bus. Outside, dark shadows were passing by. Sometimes it was possible to discern a tree, a river, or the pylons of a power transmission line. But the landscape seemed not to differ from the one in the camp. Maybe the world is a circle and we're just moving around it. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I just stared at the floor and thought about tomorrow. What will happen? This city, this planet, this time, all are strange to me. And a further talk with Alyssa, who was totally disappointed with me. The process of waiting happens to be more tiresome than its result. Finally, things bound to happen don't look so important or fearsome. All your strength is exhausted. There's just tiredness and emptiness in your soul. The bus was driving into the unknown. I couldn't resist and fell asleep. Day... ... It seems I'm getting old. The day was over and the hangover should be long gone, but I still felt sick and dizzy. Despite how hard I tried, I was unable to open my eyes. I just rolled over. I wonder what awaits me in the district center. How am I to live? Maybe it's not all that bad. Well, sure. I don't know where to begin, but on the other hand, this world doesn't seem hostile. I know a lot of things here. Everyone speaks Russian. So maybe nothing bad is gonna happen? Suddenly I felt very sick. Damn it. I thought it was all gone by yesterday evening. I managed to reach the toilet, moving instinctively. After some time, when my dirty business was done, I returned to the room. And then I realized I'm back in my old flat.